Okay, in this lesson, we are going to learn the proportions of the face. Now, we're not really going to take this all the way through to a finalized portrait. This is simply an exercise to start to learn about some of the structures and dimensions to drawing the face. This is going to be a face looking dead on, so straight ahead. Now, as we go into this, know that this is not a perfect science. It's a guideline, and in the end, we always want to use our powers of observation. However, having this guide to help us know the placement for the features is incredibly essential to really getting a nice, well done portrait. Okay, I am going to be drawing with blue pencil. Why am I drawing with blue pencil? Because every time I try to draw with an H pencil, I definitely am not able to get the lines dark enough so that you can see them in a demonstration. So just know that my blue pencil stands in for your H pencil. You're going to start by drawing the best circle that you can draw. I don't even like my first circle, so I'm flipping the page. Keep your lines nice and loose. Big, multiple circles going round and round. You can see my hand moving in the motion. Right now, what we're going to do is we're going to chop off the sides of those circles by drawing two little ellipses on the side. So we're chopping off the sides of those circles, taking up most of the circle. What's left should actually be very little. What's left should actually be very little. Now you're going to divide your circle in half. That is the halfway point. This is going to be one of our guiding lines. The halfway point is where the brow is. Note that this is the brow, so where the eyebrows lie, not where the eyes are. This is sort of like if you see a skeleton, it's like where the top of the skeletal cavity is. The bottom of those ellipses is going to be where the nose is. So where we chopped off the circle, the bottom of those is going to be where that nose is, okay? This distance from eye to nose is equal to the distance from nose to chin. So if you just measure that out with your pencil like I did, you will have what will become the bottom of the chin. Now here, the hairline, so the hairline comes to the top of the ellipses. I'm choosing my longer ellipse here. You can see they're not perfectly even. Again, this is not a science. So the distance between the hairline, the brow, and the chin should all be equivalent. So 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. Hairlines are different on different people, and it does depend if you're tilted up or down. Okay, here I'm pulling down the chin, and the chin will come down at an angle from the bottom of the ellipses. And moving right along, I am going to now draw a center line. Faces are a mirror image, much like a butterfly exhibits mirror symmetry. So this one's going to become more important when we get to something like the eyes and the lips. Now that we have our chin to the top of our head, we're going to take that, divide it equally in half, and that is where the center line of the actual eyes are going to fall. When we come to the placement of the ears, you use the brow line for the top of the ears and the nose line for the bottom of the ears. Just draw a little box right now for the ears, and I'm noticing as I'm doing this that I have not brought the sides of my circle in quite enough. I really want at this point the image should start feeling like a skeleton with ears. Nothing with the eye sockets, but a skeleton with ears. It should have more of that shape. I know that some of you may have been taught in the past to draw a circle and pull the chin down. This is a little bit more advanced, and it's going to provide a lot more structure for your final figure of the face. And now, as I'm starting to bring this in, we get a little bit what I like to call the Academy Award head. and it does look more human and a little bit less cartoon-like, even though when you do draw cartoons, you actually really need an excellent understanding of anatomy, but that is for another lesson. Coming through here and editing some of the placement of items, notice that I have lots and lots and lots of different lines to choose from. This is your sketchy time, and this is also when you're only using your H pencil. The lips are going to be halfway between the nose and the chin. This is the center line of the lips. So the distance from the nose to the lips is equal from the distance from the lips to the chin. I notice that the lips tend to actually be a little bit closer to the nose than this precise measurement. So remember the pirate code, they're more like guidelines anyways. The shadow of the chin comes halfway between that lip line and then the bottom of the face, and that's that shadow you see underneath the bottom lip. Welcome to the third eye. The face, when looking dead on, has 5 eyes that go from one side of the head to the other side of the head, hence the term the third eye. Giving myself lots of lines here and starting to pull down the neck. The neck will come quite a bit in from the ears and sort of swoop out of the edges of the jawline. Necks are different on different people. They can be more slender on women versus men, etc. Okay, we've pretty much mapped out the features of our face here, and the thing is, we want to start dropping in features. That's really the fun part. We don't know a lot about features yet. You could almost spend weeks and weeks at a time on any given feature. So for now, because we want to complete this exercise and create a portrait, we are going to stop and practice some of the features, starting with the eyebrows. The eyebrows, you want to draw in a chunk or a shape without trying to draw each individual hair. If you draw them more eyebrows even, tend to be thicker towards the middle and thin out as they come towards the edges of the brow. Eyebrows rest on top of the brow. I don't know what their scientific function is, but now talking about how they artistically and anatomically fall sure has me curious. Coming into the nose. Noses have a sort of a center line, and then they are little hills. You can draw them by doing a U shape in for the center of the nose where the pointy part of the nose comes down, and then you do little side curved U shapes and come in and meet that center U shape. Never draw nostrils. That's the trick here. When you are starting off on noses, the theory goes with the KISS theory. Keep it simple, silly. The bridge of the nose is not always evident from the forward-facing view, but you can come in and just lightly suggest the sides of the nose, which do connect up to the brow, which do connect up to the eyebrows, as I'm showing you here right now. Okay, so one more time through. There's that little side nostril, the center dip of the sort of main spot of the nose. And then depending on the nose, does the bridge go all the way up to the top of the eyebrows? Can you see it based on the lighting or the structure of that person's face? So I'm pulling another nose down here and kind of making a triangle shape and then doing a little dip to indicate the shape of the nose, not drawing nostrils and trying to make a nose kind of appear. That's sort of a beginning artist pitfall, right? So here's the U shape. You bring the nostrils in from the sides of it to meet it on the outside, making this kind of a button nose that doesn't have that bridge that completely joins it. Noses are pretty tough, so don't worry if you're not getting them 100% right now. Just concentrate on getting the idea of a nose, and we'll come back to this later. Okay, let's go through a handful of face shapes now. One of them is more like a triangle face shape coming down to a point, pulling that chin almost down to a triangle point, but giving it that curvature of a nice normal face. Another one is called the oval face shape, where everything is going to look a little bit more like an egg, all nice and rounded, but smooth and clean, not as much as a marked jawline. Another one is the sweetheart face shape, which you can definitely see that jawline and then coming into a point. And lastly, the square shaped jaw, which is like the Kirk Douglas chin, which is sort of like a Superman chin you might see in a comic book, but some people definitely have a real life version of that as well. Okay, we don't want to spend too much time on this as it is topic for another lesson. And now finally, we really want to put in those eyes, the window to the soul. The corner of the eye is going to curve more in than the edge of the eye, meaning the corner, meaning that's closest to the nose. Once you have that top line, you're going to come in and draw a sort of chopped off circle. It's not quite a half circle. So I like to do the motion of the full circle and then act as if I'm cutting off the top of that circle. Adding in the pupil here to give it some life. The eyelid, every eye needs a lid. So you come and mimic the top of that upper line. I included a few eyelashes, and those come out from underneath the lid. Now I'm ready to come in and do the bottom of the eye, pulling from sort of underneath the tear duct, coming a little bit in, and pulling around into an almond shape at the end of the eye. Sometimes the bottom can come all the way up to the pupil, sometimes it doesn't. Measuring here that the opposite eye will be one eye distance apart. I'm going to use my pencil to measure. There we go. That's the distance of that eye. And then finding the opposite edge and starting to draw in mirror symmetry the other eye. Curving in at the tear duct, but coming out to the end to an almond shaped point, mirroring that shape with the eyelids. It really gives a sense of completeness to the eye. Knowing that the eyelashes come out from underneath, come back to those, mirroring the way the other pupil and the iris sit within the eye. How much of it is being covered on the other side, and we want to repeat that now on the opposite side. Pulling that almond shape at the end, pulling it around, trying to look at the other side and draw sort of like the opposite opposing feeling, pulling some of the eyelashes out now, going sideways. The eyelashes go from in to out, and the best way to do them is to pull them out from underneath the eyelid for the top eyelashes. I'm going to add a few more over here. The bottom eyelashes don't come out from inside the eye. They actually come a little bit farther out if we're going to draw them. Scientifically, there's sort of a ledge that sticks out, and our eyelashes come out of those. And the bottom lid of the eye, the way it's positioned, it appears to us that there is more of a separation with the bottom eyelashes. So again, that's a deep dive into science and anatomy, and we'll come to that as we are interested in it. Just adding in some eyebrows here, using the scribble, but making sure that I am keeping those eyebrows in a shape. They are larger towards the center, curving to the shape of the brow and thinning out as they come to the edges. Okay, let's go ahead and fill in another practice nose here. The edge of the nostrils come to the inside line of the eyes. So the corner of the eyes matches up with the edge of the nostrils. Refresher for the shape of the nose. It tucks up. It's got that U shape and then tucks up again. And then I like to come around like this and really just neaten and even it up, creating those nostrils, deciding where the bridge of the nose will fall, pulling that down in this case, just to get a sense of the placement and the feel for everything. Time for the lips. The lips are essentially two hills on top of which are two mountains which are parallel to each other. Okay, so middle line, mountains on top, curved line underneath. Hills, mountains, smooth curved line joining together. Okay, so now to draw my features, I'm actually going to use a real life portrait. Now, the important part about this portrait is that it is a portrait where the person is looking dead at you, and it is just a very traditional style, front forward facing portrait with nice, even, clean lighting and a calm expression. So, dropping in those eyebrows, pulling in the eyes, now I can look for the techniques that I've learned about the characteristics of the eyes and the eyelids in the person, using what I'm actually looking at as a guide to create something that feels anatomically correct, not necessarily drawing this full, beautiful, amazing portrait of this person. I am more dropping the features in with a reference photo. Noticing that when I put in the nostrils, they land up at the corner of the eye. I am editing the hairline. One of the most common things that we do is make the hairline too low. So I edited the hairline a little bit. And here we're taking a closer look at it with all of the dividing lines. Remember that my lines are blue, your lines will be your H pencil. You will have all these lines to choose from when you are dropping in your final lines with your 6B or 4B pencil. This is just an exercise. This is for you to come in and practice with using the anatomical conventions of drawing the face. Once you have done this, you have a better idea of the underlying structure, and your next portrait you will come to with a great deal of skill. I am now going to erase some of my blue lines, come back in with my 6B again, and go over those lines. I'm not able to erase them as well as I would be an H pencil, as well as you will be able to be. That's okay. I wanted you to be able to see how important the underlying lines are for drawing the final figure of the face. Sometimes, as artists, we spend a lot of time refining details, but we don't know the underlying structure, especially when we're emerging artists. Underlying structure will help guide you into something really lovely at the end with these foundational portrait drawing skills. So today is an exercise, a follow along, practice, and enjoy.